Hey everyone, it's Scoopman 5000. We're back for another video. Today we're going back into the dark underbelly of action figures, going to the third parties, the unlicensed, and we're looking at the Iron Warrior, who is not Wolverine. Now, I've waited over 2 years to get this figure. May 5th, 2023, I placed my order on 5K Toys, and August 4th, 2025 is when I received it in the mail. When I first ordered it, I was so excited. We knew that Hugh Jackman was coming back, but we didn't know what the suit was going to be. And we didn't know he'd rock the cowl officially in the movies, so this was going to be a way to get it before we knew about any of that. Now here we are, 2.5 years later. There's so many yellow suit Hugh Jackman figures out there. There's new ones coming out as we speak, so let's see if this guy was worth the wait. Let's go ahead, flip it around, and we'll take a look. So like we've been doing with these third-party figures, we'll take a brief look at the packaging. These third-party ones are pretty unique. That being said, this one's very plain. We got NWToys, 1/12 scale figure, and the only way you'd really know this is Wolverine is if you really looked hard. You could see this faded out cowl. Box is a little crushed, but that's not their fault. That's my fat ass fault because I stepped on the box. Luckily, the figure remains intact. Oh, brother. And here he is, man, the Iron Warrior. Surreal to see a figure I've had pre-ordered for over 2 years finally in my hands. And I got some mixed feelings about it. But it's definitely like a third-party figure. It's that Mezco feel with the soft goods, the rubber overlays. So let's get into it. We'll go into accessories. We'll start up at the head. So the head sculpts, the one that comes default is this neutral expression with the cowl. In Days of Future Past, of course, he never wore the cowl. He never wore it until Deadpool and Wolverine. But this cowl is based on a scene, I think that was cut, or maybe it was in the movie, I don't remember, from the Wolverine. You can tell by these indents on his forehead and even that panel lining, but that was sort of presented to Logan in a box while he was in Japan in the Wolverine. There's another expression, angry, gritted teeth, more what we know Wolverine to be, again wearing that cowl. And finally, the accurate head to this costume would be default Hugh Jackman. And I don't know how to feel about the likeness, really on all three of the heads. I want to say the gritting teeth is the best one, but not the greatest head sculpt here. It's very well painted, very well executed. The eyes have a shine to them, but I think maybe that one looked better in the promo photos. For hands on the figure, obviously it's the clawed hands, and these are nice metal claws. Really might cut you, but I'll always take metal claws over the Marvel Legends style, even though they have gotten better. And then for the rest of his hands, before I get into it, let me know. Do you guys ever display a Wolverine without clawed hands? Because they always come with them, but I just feel like it's weird. But this one is what looks like a trigger hand. I feel like it'd actually be used for the cigars. You get two of them, all-time tiny accessory for an action figure, and you have two different smoke effects. And then there's two sort of open gloved hands. And again, like, I have none of my Wolverines with anything but claws. And then we get to the rest of the figure, this Days of Future Past look. One thing I'll say too, the way the heads swap is that this bit on the neck, what's attached to the ball, that never removes. The heads are fitted so that it fits right on top. But the one on the figure, this neutral one, well, of course it's not going to do it now, but you can see how loose that is. The other ones are tight. They go on, you got to pull them with a bit more force. So I guess somewhere along the lines when this figure was packaged, maybe it's been sitting in a warehouse for 2 years, this head got a little loose. So you got to throw on the Hugh Jackman proper head sculpt to make this accurate. And I think especially now that we have the Deadpool and Wolverine version, these heads aren't as exciting as they were maybe when I pre-ordered the figure. But here we go. A proper Days of Future Past figure, I'm down for, because that's probably top 2, top 3 X-Men movies. It might even be the best one. I'd have to really sit back and watch them again. But it's certainly up there. A classic. A modern classic. Now this costume was the closest we ever got in the Fox movies. That's really just because it's blue and yellow on the sleeves. The rest of it's very tactical, a little futuristic. What a lot of people did, I remember, a couple years ago, is take the Killmonger Marvel Legends. He has a similar militarized getup, put the Legends head of Hugh Jackman, and there's your Days of Future Past costumes. But otherwise, yeah, this rubber overlay. I will say, looks like he's got really low shoulders. I think it's just because of this overlay. It's adding a lot of traps, and the neck in itself is pretty long. This head is almost looking more like a 2000 style Hugh Jackman. Like if I remove the arms, imagine this guy in all black leather. I'd love to see this company maybe take a crack at that. They've made another Wolverine in the civilian getup, the 70s outfit from Days of Future Past. Some original X-Men is really what we're missing. Leather suits, give me that. in a figure. But some cool details here. I like how this undersuit has like rubber overlays on it for the armor. On the forearms, on the bicep, on the shoulder here. I don't love these little white dots here. They're supposed to look like little clips, I guess, but the black outline makes them a little cartoony, especially when you look at these real clips and buckles towards the middle. He has almost an X on the belt, close enough there. And then the pants here, Mezco style, you know, they're very baggy, militarized clothing. They have these like pleats in the middle of them, but always a lot of great craftsmanship and soft goods, and that's really the name of the game, because underneath these bodies are pretty universal. The companies themselves usually just buy blank bodies, and then it all comes down to the head sculpt and the overlaying outfit. And they did a great job with all that. Great weathering done to these knee pads and the boots. And the more I look at him with this head, I'm more excited about it now. I think years ago, I wanted it for the cowl heads. Luster's off of that. We have Deadpool and Wolverine figures, but a nice Days of Future Past Logan in this outfit, that's nice. And I'll say it again, the more I look at this, the more this is actually looking like Logan from the original 2000 film. There's one more thing I forgot to try. Oh yeah, look at that. So there's a flat end on the cigar. It actually does fit in the mouth. His mouth is a little bit open. That changes things too. That's pretty chill. Something you don't really have on a lot of other Wolverine figures. That might have just brought it over the edge for me. I was kind of weirded out when I opened them. That's looking good. Doesn't seem like the cowl has an opening, but I'll take it on the Logan. Not usually going in articulation these days, but with a third party, it's always interesting. So the head moves nice. This torso I'm curious about. We'll just go down as far as we can. Yeah, like I feel like there is movement at the chest here, but this armor really negates a lot of it. Doesn't seem like any butterfly, as far as I can tell. Nice elbows though, about as much as you'd want. Swivel on the waist, and then legs is legs. Pretty standard stuff. Double knee and a nice rocker, which you don't always get. A lot of times these boots are like one big sculpt, but they did it the right way. This NWToys. So now we have this Wolverine figure. Let's see what others we can compare him with and play around with them. So here he is with two of the Fox Marvel Legends. This is from Wolverine Origins, and of course from Logan, the old man version. This guy's a lot taller, and that's weird because Marvel Legends usually scale higher than 1/12. These third-party companies, when they say 1/12, they usually mean it. But I almost don't mind this. You know, Hugh Jackman is a beast in these movies. He's not the short Wolverine, so even if he's towering over every other figure next to him, I feel like that works. As far as likeness, I'm not sure now because they both sort of are off. But I guess I can see Hugh Jackman in either one. I think these two are going to be the best comparison. This is the Origins version, but he's got kind of the shorter hair. I think this is actually the reissue. I did review the original way back in the day, but this was probably the best Hugh Jackman look. And then we got the Deadpool and Wolverine version, and he's much older here. He's got more bags under his eyes, but still I think it's the best Hugh Jackman face, proportionally speaking. Again, he's much taller than both of them, but I think this jeans one is slightly closer. Now, we'll do this. We get the cowl on here, and then we bring in the cowl version, Deadpool and Wolverine. He looks so much smaller to me, but I will say, like, this suit, I didn't even like it at first. I thought there was too much lines. It was too MCU-fied. But this Deadpool and Wolverine look really has grown on me. Yeah, I definitely, like, this one's really not doing it for me with the cowl. So it's coming right off, and we're going back to Days of Future Past proper, which is, like, not exactly the reason I bought this figure 2 years ago, but I'm so glad I did, right? Because these are now two distinct Wolverines in the collection. I did want to show them off with at least one comic style Wolverine. I think this is actually the 97 cartoon version, but this is the Wolverine body we've been getting for like a decade. And with the movie Deadpool, if for whatever reason you wanted these two to interact, I think Deadpool should be a little bit closer in height, but you could definitely pose around it. And I was going to say these are the two Days of Future Past figures you can pose them with, but that's not even true. This Mystique is the Rebecca Romijn version, which I think is far superior to Jennifer Lawrence anyway. But it was Jennifer Lawrence in that movie, so, I mean, it still works. You know, fantastic figure, but even that's not 100%. And then the Michael Fassbender, this one I'm pretty sure is the Days of Future Past costume. But the Xavier in the set was actually the Apocalypse version. Again, that's all going off memory. I did review this guy, I think Mystique too, back in the day. But either way, I mean, keep it coming, man. You know, we had the other Magneto and the other Xavier heads, but the costumes didn't make sense. And then even this, like, do we need a Jennifer Lawrence? And there's a lot of the other characters from both eras of the X-Men movies that really, I don't see why we're not making them. Hopefully with this new movie, with the return of Marsden, Xavier, Magneto, Becca Roman. You know, let's get new figures of them. We need Jean Grey for Christ's sake. Kitty Pryde, Rogue, Iceman. There's a lot of characters. Let's get it. But for now, I'm pretty satisfied with this 1/12 scale Iron Warrior. And with these third party, they're just able to do stuff that these big companies aren't. Days of Future Past, Wolverine, let's go. And I'll take Days of Future Past, Storm, Magneto, Xavier, that whole crew that was in the bunker. Right, Kitty? So I'll be taking a look at NWToys, and maybe in another 2 years we'll get a banger figure. But for now, I'll leave it off with my usual figure photography. As I mentioned before, I have reviewed some of these Marvel Legends years ago. The reviews probably don't hold up, but you can check them out anyway. And I'll see you guys in the next video.